Hello and welcome to the Pre-Chiro podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Glass, and today we're making a connection out in Spartanburg, South Carolina with Chiro student over here, Krystal. Krystal, can you just introduce yourself and share a little bit about what it was that attracted you to this path to become a chiropractor, and also just let us know what's going on with you right now in the moment if you want to set an intention for this conversation.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Krystal. I am a 11th quarter student at Sherman. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina,
Mm.
and what really got me into chiropractic was I started off as a sports massage therapist. So I was working with like Division I athletes, and I made a Team USA, which was really amazing. When I was there, I met some really amazing chiropractors, and I noticed that after everyone would go to me, they would go to the chiropractor. So I'm like, what are they doing over there? So I went and, just kind of chatted with the chiropractors there. And, as I continued to do other events, I continued speaking with them, and they were just some of the most wholesome people that I'd ever met. And just kind of learning what they were doing, they were kind of talking me through it. I got really interested in it, did a really deep dive, and kind of showed up at a Sherman showcase and started the next month. So my intention for this conversation is to just let people know, about chiropractic. I find that the education piece is the piece that's missing for a lot of people, especially people who are not in chiropractic school. So if it's something that people are interested in, I like for this conversation just to be like a segue or pathway for them to do a deeper dive into it.
No, that's what we're here for. I appreciate you saying that. That's what I would have loved to have heard when I was a chiropractor or a college student, and I was like, I think I want to go to chiropractic school. Let me look up what's out there, what's available, what types of conversations are happening for me where I'm at. Not for professional chiropractors or for chiropractic students, but for the student who's like trying to prepare, trying to get familiar, trying to gain an awareness of what's out there and what's possible with this path. So just as a segue, what can you kind of share, like once you decided that you wanted to become a chiropractor? I know you said you like went right into Sherman right after that, or you went to a Sherman showcase, but like maybe just walk us through your experience, and then knowing what you know now, what would you recommend that students sort of go a step further with, just with your awareness now? Like how could a pre-chiropractic student maybe prepare for chiropractic school, or do things that you think would allow them to arrive on day one and get the most out of their education?
Okay, so one thing that I did once I met those people, once I made those connections, it seemed as if every place I went, I was meeting a new chiropractor. And I'm a person who believes in the stars aligning. And, I felt like, okay, there has to be something to this. So I did the research. I looked into it. But what I didn't know at the time, I guess I'm answering your later question now, is just how deep things go in terms of chiropractic from the very beginning, the difference between straight chiropractic and mixers, and just what people deem chiropractic and what they don't deem chiropractic. So I think that in my research, I feel like I would have done a little bit more of a deep dive into that so that I could understand exactly what all I was getting into. So I think that when I first got to school, I had an idea what chiropractic is, but when I get there, I find out, okay, so there are all of these different types of chiropractic. I mean, you can be a Gonstead practitioner, you can do network spinal, you can, it's just so many things. And I felt like instead of being overwhelmed by everything that came with it, I just decided to take bits and pieces from everything and see like what aligned with me, what I resonated the most with. I noticed that some of my friends are more drawn to, different modalities, and that's great because it fits them. So I had to figure out what exactly fit me. As I was figuring out what school I wanted to go to, I actually went to another school first and did their weekend festivities, and it was amazing. Absolutely thought that's where I was going to end up at. And then someone said, "Have you even thought about Sherman?" Did not know Sherman was in my backyard. I live 90 minutes away from Spartanburg. And I decided to just go for the weekend and see what they had to offer. And the weekend that I went to previously was amazing, but Sherman Showcase, it was just indescribable. It was one of those weekends that really solidified what next steps would look like for me. So
That's powerful. Can you maybe just speak to the high school version of yourself, or maybe reflect on your upbringing and like the culture you come from or the community you come from, and like how in alignment chiropractic actually is with your culture or with the community you were raised in? Like, just tie it back to your roots. Just because my premise is that if people knew what it was, they would be more interested in it. They just don't even know that it exists. They don't know that it's an option, you know?
Mhm. Okay, so my upbringing, I will say that all I've ever known is Western medicine. Um, you got a cold, you're sick, you go to the doctor. That's all I've ever known. I mean, to this day, that's how many people in my family are, which no knock to that. I completely understand. Like, that's how we were raised, that's how we're brought up. So as I got older, and just started exploring holistic healing and, just branching out from the norm, and doing my own research, I found out that, there are just other ways to wellness. And I would rather approach wellness from a lens of finding things that benefit me, that come from the earth, that are, holistic, essentially. And I know that, a lot of people say they try to drive this wedge between chiropractic and Western medicine, which really, I mean, both of them have their place. Like, you can't have one without the other, really. And I wish that more people understood that, instead of saying, oh, if you don't go to the doctor, then you must be doing something else. And, when really, in actuality, chiropractic is giving you an opportunity for your body to make an introduction to itself. If there's interference in your nervous system, what chiropractic is doing is removing that interference so that your body can run at its premium optimum level. And we do that without the use of any outside factors. We just use you're the vessel, and your body to create that vitalistic approach. So
Nah, I appreciate you going there. And so that's just kind of like an introduction to chiropractic. Like, can you get into the details and tease out some of the specific skills that you've developed? You said you were doing sports massage before school. How did that help you once you got to school? But like also communication at a professional level, thinking like an entrepreneur, the art of chiropractic. Maybe just talk about some of the details of like what it means to you, or when you reflect back on this process that you're in right now. What are the skills that you developed? What have you been really working on and growing?
I think that the most important thing that I've been working on as a chiropractic student is just intention. I think that, what we do is so energetic, and the same with massage therapy. Before I got into sports, I was doing massage therapy on a spa level. And if you know anything about massage, that's completely different from a sport massage. So I think that, with sports, it's quick, it's flushes, it's knowing muscle groups, antagonists, what's a synergist muscle for whatever particular sport that you're working with, making sure you know and understand how those things work so that you can best help the athletes. So when it comes to chiropractic, I think that it's just a much deeper dive, just not specifically or all about athletes. So if people have low back pain, if people have headaches, if people suffer from sinus, you name it, like, there is something in our body, a nerve that goes somewhere, that we have the benefit of getting to know and knowing how to remove a subluxation pattern in that way. For me, I think that I've just really been interested in all of the ways that we can create a subluxation free body, So some people may not like a thrust into the body, therefore you may have an instrument, or some people may be into network spinal. It just completely depends on the type of person you are and the type of patient that you're catering to. I believe that in all of chiropractic, there's a doctor for everyone out there that can fit every need that you have. So I think it's about, figuring out who's your person. And that kind of goes into the entrepreneur piece of it. As an entrepreneur, I mean, I could talk ad nauseum about this because I've been an entrepreneur for a very long time. And I know just the ups and the downs of business and understanding business and what makes business run. So for this instance, per se, um, we're in a profession where we actually have to put boots on the ground and get to know people. We need to talk to people about what chiropractic is. And in doing that, sometimes you may have conversations that you probably had no idea that you would have. Or what people don't know is a lot of times people need to talk through things, to process things, and that's just another layer of what chiropractic is all about. So when people get to express what they're feeling and when they started feeling these things and how it relates to what may be happening in their body, you get to have a full circle moment about your mind body connection and how chiropractic is a big part of that.
Thank you for that. Can you maybe reflect on your undergraduate experiences? Like what kind of college you went to? Was there any chiropractic present? Like, was there any awareness of it? What would it mean to bring a pre-chiropractic club to the campus that you went to college at, and like try and grow this thing called chiropractic or pre-chiropractic on that campus? Like, what creatively, what could you see being possible, or some strategies to make it happen over there?
I think that we are living in a time where people are exploring their options more, meaning people are really interested in chiropractic beyond the craziness that we see on TikTok. But I think that I went to a pretty large undergrad. I went to the University of South Carolina. And so I was pretty much used to being, one of 100 or 200 in a particular class. Um, what I think would be beneficial is just as well as there are so many different types of clubs on campus that you can get involved in, I think that bringing a pre-chiropractic program or club to a campus can be very beneficial just because, in doing health talks recently in Columbia and talking to undergraduate students, they know about chiropractic. They're interested in chiropractic and they want to know more about it. So I think that introducing a club could be easy just simply because people are on this wave. They're interested in holistic healing and they want to know more about that. So I think introducing a club, most people or most campuses do it by way of petition. You get so many signatures, and then that's something that you can have. And we can kind of like, I could see it being a thing where it's run by, students, but also you bring chiropractors in to speak on what it is and talk about the schools you should go to and, what schools have to offer. But, if that were something that were on my campus back then, I'm pretty sure that's something that I would have been interested in because I've always been interested in health. So.
Yeah, how did you get into massage and sports massage? Like, was that when you were in college or before you went to college? And like, knowing what you know now as far as like being in chiropractic school, about to be a chiropractor, practicing in the real world, like, how can we build bridges between that massage school you went to as well, or just like the practicing massage therapists that are out there that are maybe looking for that next step or looking to make a different type of impact on people?
So it's so crazy. I got into massage when I was in undergrad. I was doing a program that was kind of stressful, and I needed a way to relax. So I started going to a massage spa, and I got really close to my therapist. And she was just talking one day and she said, "Hey, are you interested in learning about massage therapy?" And I was like, I'm not sure. And so she told me about the school that she went to. I ended up going there. This was after I graduated from undergrad and just checking it out. And then I ended up taking a placement assessment and starting there quickly after that. One really cool thing is one of my massage professors. His name is Elon Schachter. I'll never forget this man because we learned so much in massage therapy school, especially kinesiology. All of those types of things in terms of muscles, nerves, and stuff. And he would tell us, he was like, the amount of information you guys are consuming, you could definitely become a doctor beyond this point. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, I didn't even think about, that possibly being a next step for me. It was just a wild idea, but it was that small seed planted by this instructor who believed in us, who believed in what we were doing. And it literally, every time I think about a new milestone that I check off in chiropractic school, I think about him because I honestly believe that it was that small seed that he planted for me that was able to helped me to believe that I could do something on the next level such as this. So I think that I don't know too many people who are like, okay, after massage school, I would want to become a chiropractor. But I think that if people knew, the criteria or the requirements, and they were up for a challenge, more people would definitely be interested in it.
Yeah, most definitely. I still remember being a senior at Temple University in North Philadelphia and bringing a chiropractor into the intro to kinesiology class. This was my last semester at college, but I had decided at that semester that I was going to become a chiropractor, and I was like, why did I never learn about this? So I wanted to introduce the freshmen to this pathway, and I just remember how many students were attracted to this chiropractor's message and how it wasn't really like repelling people, but it was attracting, like the whole class was interested, I'm talking about 100 plus people. And I just always question, like, what would it mean? And I know that it would be really difficult for the profession to make inroads into these college campuses, but if there was one student or two students that were going through a pre-chiropractic program online and then starting a pre-chiropractic club, like, I feel like it's only like one or two steps, it's going to happen. Like, it's
Absolutely.
very possible. You know what I mean? What do you think about, like, just kind of that whole movement and shifting the culture, what pre-chiropractic clubs can do on college campuses, like what they could represent, not just introducing them to the pathway, but like actually trying to uplift other people, like other students' health or campus wellness, student wellness. What you think?
I think that's an excellent idea. I think that, like I said, we are living in a time where everyone is looking for that thing outside of the norm that helps them feel their absolute best. And for me, and I could be biased because I'm in a chiropractic program, I believe that people are gravitating towards this. I think that they're very interested in it. A lot of people are afraid of it, unfortunately. And so I spend a lot of time explaining to people what a cavitation is, what that pop is that you feel. And when I tell people exactly what it is, it's like all of their defenses just, their shoulders relax and they're like, okay, like I could do this now, because a lot of people just don't understand. So I think that creating an opportunity, an avenue for people to be able to get to know what chiropractic is and decide whether it's the next step for them, and they start that in undergrad, is a great first step in terms of figuring out what the next steps look like or what the rest of their life could look like as it pertains to chiropractic. So I think that joining clubs like that, creating clubs like that would bring more awareness. It will bring more people to chiropractic. And for me, I especially have a soft spot for Black and brown people. I would love to see more Black people represented in this profession because I think that it's imperative. It's something that our community needs just as much as anyone else. So that would be really great. I can't hear you.
My bad, my mic was on. Riley Bixby said yes, Krystal, and threw her hands up for you. You know her?
Yes, it's one of my classmates. I love her.
Oh, that's what's up. Yes. Yeah, and I guess that's a perfect segue. Shift into like the student culture in your class, in your campus that you're at Sherman. Like, what are the things that you love most about it? What are the things that are frustrating about it? Like, how could it be improved without stepping too harshly on the program? Like, where are you guys at with things, and what do you want to make it? What would you like to see better it for the future generation?
So Sherman, I love because it's a very small campus. I think at most of the time it's between 400 and 500 students on campus. Um, our classroom, like I came in with a cohort of like 56, and just due to timing and the pace of people's lives, we've dropped down to about 25 or 26 people in our cohort. But I would say that having a consistent group of people that you go through the program with is really great. I think that it gives you an opportunity to build lasting relationships. It gives you an opportunity to figure out how you best study, who you study with well. Do you study with people who like to talk it out? Do you study with people who like to be completely silent? And also, they become friends with other people who are in different clubs and different groups. And before long, everyone is connected and our friends at school. So I think that what I love most about the school is the small atmosphere. I feel like a lot of people say, "Oh, it's like a family. It's like a family," but I truly believe that. I think that Sherman does a really good job of connecting us. Our student affairs office is very good at doing things that kind of take the load off. Because the program is rigorous. I mean, most of us are there from 8 to 5 every day. So there'll be days where we'll have like free coffee or free ice cream or free anything. They like to give us stuff all the time. So I think that that's really amazing. In terms of what I would change, I think that for a lot of people, it's really hard to kind of stay on the path because because the classroom is so small, you only get one section of each class. So that kind of makes it hard to like you can't mess up at all. If you do, that's going to automatically put you a quarter or two behind. Which, if you are one of those people who are all about the timing of things, that may be discouraging. But if you're someone who it really doesn't matter, as long as you get out, then that's okay. So if I could say anything, it would probably be that if we could have like more than one section of each class, I think that would be great.
For sure. And where are you at in the program? What are you working on? Like, what's your highest priority these days?
So I'm going into 11th quarter. Our school is 14 quarters total. So I am downhill and I am so excited. This past quarter, I entered the clinic. And I think that it is the best thing. Like, I know sometimes it can be really hard to keep up with your course load and now having a patient base, but like my patients keep me going. Like, I cannot wait to get to school to see them. Their care is like my priority. Of course, my schoolwork is, but I want to make sure that what I'm doing is beneficial for them, that they understand what chiropractic is and how we can, look at outcome assessments and just kind of see where they started and where we are now. So seeing their growth and seeing them enjoy the care really warms my heart because it makes me feel like I am making a difference in my patients' lives. And it gives me an opportunity to touch so many spines. Like, we get an opportunity you have like weekly requirements and stuff, and you only have to do a few adjustments a week. But like, personally, I want to touch as many people as I can so that once I graduate, like, I'm not, jittery or, which I'm pretty sure I'll still have nerves, but like touching the spine, I want that to be second nature for me. Like, so I feel like touching as many people as possible is like my main priority. And just making sure that the intention, what I'm here to do, what they're here to receive is there so that there's no confusion and, just seeing my people get better.
What does it mean to be like a black woman, doctor, chiropractic woman of color, like, and then to be able to like touch the lives of people that look like you, that come from your community, that are in your family? Like, what does that mean to you? Because now your identity is really shifted to something different than being a massage therapist.
Man, that is a really great question. I think that you can't be what you can't see, you know? I wish I could say that I came from a family of a long line of doctors, but that's not my truth. But, it gets to start with me. So I think that, being able to achieve this level and to be a servant first and foremost, like it's something that I don't take lightly. And I think that by people being able to see me, interact with me, be my patients, they get to see something that maybe they haven't seen in person before. And, that's something that I don't take lightly either. I would love to mentor people. I would love to just be a pillar, in my community that's sharing health and wellness as a Black woman and encouraging people to go out and do the same. If you want to be a chiropractor, if it's on your heart to do so, if you have a servant heart, first of all, this is a lane that you can be in. This is a lane that you can fully occupy. Like, there is no such thing as there not being enough room. Let's take up as much space as we possibly can so that we can make people better. Like, we have a sick world. And I think that, stepping out and, putting boots on the ground and just teaching and reaching and creating ripples in this world is what's going to help make people better. So
Can you maybe just touch on the different types of clubs that you've gotten involved in? Like what you also talk about high pie society and like your aspirations for that and anything else that you have as far as like projects that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so at Sherman, I'm in a few clubs. So I'm a student ambassador, first of all. And so what we do is we are like the first point of contact for prospective students who come on campus. We also have Showcase Sherman weekends, which is once a quarter, where we get to bring people on campus, show them our facilities, have them palpate, ask as many questions as they possibly can. And it is really a life-changing weekend. It's what changed my life and brought me to Sherman. So it was a no-brainer for me to join an organization where I get to do the same in return. And it's so fulfilling to see people who come to Showcase and are excited about Sherman and then actually become students. So I really, really, really love that. Other than that, I am an X-ray intern, which is pretty much another club on campus where you are someone who wears a different jacket than a normal jacket, but you're kind of proficient in X-ray analysis and X-ray technique. So what I do is I get to actually help people when we have outpatients when they come in. I help take the X-rays, which is important to me because when I have my own practice, I want to take X-rays as well. um, so I'm also a part of a group called SAPCA, which is a Black Chiropractic Association, which is important as well because, like I said, we are less than 2% of our chiropractors. So visibility is important, making sure we reach other people, bring people into the fold, and just share the message of chiropractic and let the ripples go far and wide. I think that's really important to do as well. As far as High Pi Society, so funny thing about this, when I first got to chiropractic school or right before I came, I was on the internet doing the deepest of dives to find out, what do you need for chiropractic school? Like, what should I study before I get there? Like, as it pertains to Spartanburg, I wanted to know where should I live and, what's around the school, like what are activities you can do. And so it was really hard to find like anything. And so when I created High Pie Society, I just thought of it as one like a novelty company where people get to get gear that pertains to chiropractic. So my first shirt that I created is called Chiro with the Homies, and basically it's all about sharing this gift of chiropractic with your friends. And when someone sees a shirt, they're like, what's this? And it gives me an opportunity to say, okay, well, this is what it represents. This is chiropractic. This is what we do. So it started with Chiro with the Homies. I put it on pause for a while because for some strange reason, I thought I could be a full-time entrepreneur and a full-time student at the same time. And that proved to be quite difficult. But I do have new things coming down the pipeline, and I'm really excited to like get more gear out there and, just more things that I know that people can identify with on this chiropractic journey, especially as students. But also just as, people who are interested in chiropractic and who love chiropractic and would love to represent it in any way that they can.
It's beautiful. Thank you for that. We appreciate you. Is there anything else that you would want to like share for maybe a prospective student that is at the high school that you went to and is like a little lost or confused as to which path they want to take? Maybe just kind of introducing them as if you were their guidance counselor or as if you were doing a guest speech in their classroom for the day of just like you know just sharing, speaking from experience, like in a nutshell, 1 or 2 minutes, why is this path interesting, exciting, inspiring, and has the potential to change their life?
Absolutely. So, one thing I would say is in high school, it's okay to not know what direction you want to go in. I think that, we live in a time where you have to know, you have to know, you have to know, and it's okay to not know. So, I think that for me, my heart has always been in healthcare. I've always been someone who enjoys taking care of others. So, I know that, or I knew that whatever I did, it would be in that field somewhere, somehow. So what I would say is, if you are interested in becoming a doctor or a nurse or a physician's assistant or physical therapist, whatever it may be, definitely, definitely take your science classes seriously. Because that's a precursor to what you'll get once you get to college. Once you get to college, being able to figure out who you are, first of all, in the world is very important. I think that sometimes we gravitate to do things that other people are doing and we end up unhappy. And that's because you haven't met yourself, you know? And so I think that taking the time to figure out exactly who you are and what you want out of life is imperative. It saves you thousands of dollars. And also, it just keeps you from going, you know, down this jagged road back again around the way, when you can just say, hey, this is what I want. This is how I plan to do it. And there's nothing wrong with getting advice and trying to figure out what next steps look like for you, but know that this life is yours and yours alone. Like there is nothing that, you know, that someone else can do for you. Everything has to be the steps that you take to be the best version of yourself. So I think that if chiropractic is it for you, for me, it looked like just getting in alignment and figuring out who I am and how I want to show up in the world. And I want to show up as someone who helps people regulate their nervous system. I want to be someone who helps people understand that, you know, your body is a vessel that is all connected and is connected through your nervous system. So when there is something that is completely out of sync or, you know, misaligned or any of that, we rely on our nervous system to feed us, to run every system in our body. And there is, in my opinion, no greater system. So we want that to run as optimally as possible. And for me, being a doctor of the nervous system seemed like the best thing for me to do. Um, I didn't know it at the time when I became a sport massage therapist. I just knew that I was doing something that was dealing with people, helping people get better. But as I continued on that journey, this path became clearer to me. And as I started taking the steps towards it, in faith, because I had no idea how I would fare in this program. I didn't know, you know, if I was up for it, if I was smart enough. And I'm glad that I continued to just press on because at the end of the day, all you have everything that you need inside of you. And I think that, you know, once I let go of that fear and that doubt of the things that I thought I couldn't do, I began to excel, I began to thrive. And I think that it's just a testament of being aligned and being where you're supposed to be. So I think that, you know, figure out who you are, figure out who you want to be, and then you take your next steps from there. And you'll have people who love you and support you and want to see you do well, rooting you on. And you just have to make sure that, you know, you are staying true to who you are.
So just to shift gears really quickly, I'm trying to contextualize this little brief segue right here as being like a kind of a career pathway advisory. You know how you have academic advisors? Well, within chiropractic, because there's so many diverse pathways, I think every student really just needs to be asked the question of like, what are your specific interests and like what resources are you looking for more information with? Do you have any specific interests that, you know, maybe it's how you want to practice or specific techniques, or are you looking for resources of any sort these days right now?
So I think that for me, I am interested in practicing no particular, like no one technique calls to me. Like I feel like I'm a mixed bag. I can do a little bit of everything, right?
Okay.
But I also just feel like I'm still learning as I go. Like I feel like one day I'm really, really, really like all diversified, you know, and then sometimes I'm like, let me take a look at this gun stand, you know. So I think that, you know, it really just depends on, you know, the path that you take and the type of people you want to take care of. When I first went to school, I only wanted to see athletes because that's the background that I came from. And then once I figured out exactly what chiropractic was and how beneficial it was to not just athletes, but everyone, it was a no brainer for me to see an entire family. So I think that just going through the program and figuring out exactly what it is and what it has to offer is how I've come to the conclusion that, you know, everybody needs chiropractic, not just athletes. You know, we need to introduce this to as many people as possible. And when you take care of mother, you take care of her children, you take care of her husband, and you take care of her entire family. So I want to make sure that what I'm doing is impacting not just the family, but like I said, creating ripples and bringing more people into the fold.
And I'm just asking you to be a little more vulnerable with your own particular unique situation. If we were trying to support you here right now in this moment, just because I've been in practice for like 12 years, and that doesn't mean a whole lot, but I do have a lot of experience. I also was a massage therapist before starting in school. So I'm just curious though, like, where are you at as far as like what skills are you trying to work on, or like what are you struggling with, or like what are you like, where's your specific focus at this semester?
So for me, so far I've been adjusting for 1 quarter or like 1.5 quarters. For me, I guess my Achilles heel is supine diversified. Also side posture. So I already have like some shoulder instability. So I want to protect my shoulders as best I can. And I know that people blow their shoulders out doing side posture all the time. So it's kind of been something that I have been kind of staying away from, but I kind of feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by not getting into it. So those are just two techniques in particular, that I want to become stronger in. And, the same way that I can do any other thing without giving it a second thought, I want to do that in terms of supine, diversified cervicals, and side posture. But other than that, more than anything is just, like I said, getting to know as many spines as possible, doing as much case history as possible, because, that's going to be important down the stretch, especially for board exams and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that I know what I know without a single doubt. So.
And then if you were like just throwing a question at me that you were just wanting to bounce off of me, I would just be curious like what it was, or if you had one or two or three questions, just because I really believe that students need these little 10-15 minute conversations just to check in, what's going on with you, where's your focus at, what do you need in support with, do you have any questions for me, just giving you that opportunity. Are you sitting with any burning questions these days that you're just wanting to bounce off of me?
Oh, absolutely. I can definitely ask you some questions. I'm always interested in what brings people to chiropractic. So I want to know what like was your aha, I have to do this. I know you said as a senior in college you knew that you were going to do it, but like, what was your this is my opportunity. I want to be a chiropractor. And what is one of your absolute favorite chiropractic stories?
Oof. All right, so favorite chiropractic story. I'm in Colombia, it's 7 o'clock in the morning. We're couch surfing. Me and my partner, we're traveling with our chiropractic tables through Colombia, and we're staying at this house. And they hooked us up with this lawyer who was going to show us this beach that had flamingos on it. So we got there super early. It was the off season, so there's not a lot of tourism going through there, and we had no idea that like we were going to get pressed a couple times. So these young kids were coming up to us at 7:30 in the morning like, hey, can you give me some money so I can give you a tour, this and that. Anyway, we see some flamingos off in the distance. We get back to our car and there's like 8 guys there. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. They don't look super happy with us. The guy that we're with, who's Colombian, is like kind of giving a little bit of a rough, like putting up a front like he's a tough guy a little bit. And we're over here just trying to enjoy our vacation, or like our trip. This is our post-graduation trip. So anyway, I tell the guy who's the leader of the pack, he comes up asking me for money. I'm like, look, I have no money. All I can offer you is an adjustment. Sit on this rock over here. So he sits on the rock. I adjusted his atlas, and he went from being like real serious to smiling, and he had all these braces on, and we were able to get out of there unharmed, and just like on GP of like them being cool with us because I helped their friend out. Mm-hmm. And like that was one that I felt like was like kind of a movie moment. Mm-hmm. There's another one where when I got out of school, I went to Honduras by myself, and I was walking around the streets with my table, and I was kind of working out of this one little cafe. And there was always this homeless guy who would come through. He always had liquor bottles in his pockets. Well, anyway, he had rapport with the lady that worked at the cafe. She would give him free drinks. So one day I was there when he came through, and he got on my table and got adjusted. And then I saw that lady like 3 weeks ago, and she was like, that guy that you adjusted? Like, he took a shower that night for the first time in like, I don't know how long. And then the next day he showed up with a clean pair of clothes on, and he was looking for jobs, and like just knowing that an adjustment without any words exchanged can make somebody's life that different was incredible, and As far as knowing that I knew that this was the path, I really didn't even know, to be honest with you. I was just looking for what was going to make me happy. I went
Mhm.
into an office and the guy was taking care of like babies and older people, car accident people, athletes. It was like a little bit of everything. And I just had that kind of personality where I wanted the diversity. So that was really what pulled me in this path, if that makes sense. But
Absolutely. So I
yeah,
have another question.
all right.
In terms of being a chiropractor, but also a business person, how did you, I guess, get good at or finally find the sweet spot for you as a businessman versus you as a chiropractor, and blending those two?
Well, I would even add a third one of like me just as a regular person that wants to vibe and build with people from a community that's usually low access. Like I grew up in upstate New York, like an hour north of New York City, where it was very diverse. Like all the people whose dreams were to move out of the projects moved to like my town. So it was like very different cultures, And so I want to be able to see those same people here today as a practicing chiropractor, a business owner. So I set up like a 3-tier structure. This is just me,
Mhm.
where we had a nonprofit for low access communities that it was like $25 or $50 in adjustment sliding scale based on their income and their situation. And it could even be free if necessary. But most people, if you build the value high enough, they could at least afford 25. And it's good to get them to commit to a care plan. So everybody has to be on a care plan, even if it's 25 bucks.
Mhm.
Then there's our cash practice, where we have care plans that are 12 visit, 24 visit, 36 visit long. And there's monthly payment options. We try not to be too strict with like, you got to pay right now or you got to pay on this day. If somebody's, needing us to push it back a couple weeks, it's all good. We'll adjust accordingly just so that we can really understand people's situation. And then we have our sort of accident care tier, which is like allowing us to get paid a lot more than
Mhm.
a cash visit or a nonprofit visit, but it's also no money out of the people's pockets, but it also allows us to build with people for like 3-4 months. So it's still like a care plan. It's really no different than the cash or the nonprofit. They all look the same. There's just a little extra paperwork with the car accident thing, and that just allows us, to get them paid the most with the car accidents, middle of the road with the cash, and then just give back to our community with the nonprofit. So it gives us that full sort of strata. And then from a mindset standpoint, you get out all these student loans. If you go right into starting your own nonprofit, all you need is 120 payments, 10 years of working for yourself, doing screenings, being out in the community, doing health talks, taking care of people for less. And you could actually get credit for that, because it's going towards your nonprofit.
Mhm.
So I hope that makes sense as
It
far as how to
does.
blend the business with the real life stuff.
Awesome. I have another question. You said something about, them seeing the value in what you do. So my question for you is, how do you position the value of chiropractic and still get paid for your services? Because a lot of people think it shouldn't cost as much as it does, or why does it cost, so little or so much? So how do you position the value of chiropractic to where your practice members know, understand, and enjoy the services?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if somebody, after you've presented them what the costs are, tells you really that's it, then you've done a really good job. Like, that's a reflection that you built the value up high enough so that you're actually coming in at a lower amount than they were expecting. I think there is like a misconception that chiropractic is extremely expensive. And don't get me wrong, it can be extremely expensive. You could take x-rays on somebody, develop a corrective care plan that goes into the thousands upon thousands of dollars. And I'm not knocking that. There's nothing wrong with that. People are probably doing that successfully and making lots of money and going high volume. And that might actually be the way that you choose to practice. And that's like one option, right? The way that we built it, we have the subluxation station here. We do like the heart rate variability, the surface EMG, and the thermography. We have that type of conversation with people about how their nervous system is functioning. I imagine you have that in your clinic there. That's just like the diagnostic that I use. I would say that x-rays is probably even more effective than the subluxation station. It's just the lineage that I came through and the mentality that I had was that like x-rays were not necessarily going to be where I started, with somebody. It's just if needed, we could send them right down the block for X-rays, and we do that. But I hope that that's making sense. Is like diagnostics, seeing, that helps people, but also just like your exam, doing the touch and tell, helping them connect what's going on in their experience. You know, my point of view is people are either coming in because they want pain-free functions, so they want pain relief. They want to function better. They're coming in because they need stress relief. That's either mental, physical, chemical, emotional, or they're trying to, like, it's cosmetic. They want to improve their posture. And I think that being able to key in and figure out what somebody's there for is how you really build the value, by like doing your exam to speak to their values, doing your communication to speak to their value. If that makes sense.
That does. And my last question is, 12 years in practice, do you still love it like the very first time?
Yeah, no, it's super dope. I think that what tends to happen, like, is that you have like ups and downs, just like anything.
Mhm.
And the amazing thing about chiropractic practice is that the people you take care of actually give you energy. Like, if you're down, like, you could go into practice, take care of people, and be like, forget all about what's going on in your personal life. I think that, you know, as the world's changing, people's energy is changing, like the consciousness. I'm in the Bay Area, and like the tech bubble is potentially bursting a little bit. So people are on edge, but I think that just being a rock and being a pillar and like holding space for people, allowing them to be vulnerable, but also like guiding them in an empowered way to like see that there's gonna, like, it's gonna work out, like see the positive in the, you know, in the challenge and the adversity, and empower them to create their own reality. I think that's like what I get juiced. And yeah, I mean, I love it, you know. There, I don't feel, I think if you're tired at the end of the day, like, it's, if it's physical exhaustion because you took care of that many people, that's one thing. But if it's like you're tired because the people wiped out your energy, then like you gotta switch it up. But if at the end of the day you're like, I could do it all over again, or, you know, I'm tired, but it's getting late, you know, then that's a sign that you're doing what you love. So yeah, I love it. That's why I'm here having these conversations with you on my lunch break about chiropractic. You know what I mean?
Awesome. 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 Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for sharing with any other students. Is there any final message that you would just like to share as far as becoming a pre-chiropractic student, becoming a chiropractor one day? You know, anything that comes to mind as we wrap up here?
Well, I did a deep dive. I'm the queen of deep dive. I went to your YouTube. So if anyone who is watching this is interested in becoming a chiro, there are so many resources on this page, so many reputable people, so many amazing voices who are sharing their experiences of chiropractic. So if you just want to hear just different perspectives, definitely go and check out Become a Chiro. Also, if you have any questions of me or anything like that, I'm pretty sure you can link my information so that ask away any question you may have. If you want to do a deep dive into chiropractic, if you want to talk about the nervous system and how everything's all connected, that is my jam. I love to do it. It's been an honor to be here with you today. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And you know, I'm a text, phone call, Instagram DM away.